Begode has brought back a classic electric unicycle design. I'm super excited for this and we'll get into details why. But Andrew, tell us what's in the box.
We've got the Begode C8, estimated top speed of about 38 miles per hour, 8 speakers, supposedly the best speakers we've ever heard on EUC, and the iconic lights that you're used to seeing on the Nikola.
My first ever electric unicycle was the Kingsong 16S, which served me well, but I quickly outgrew it. My next electric unicycle, which I had for a long time, was the Nikola, and I loved that wheel. It was very futuristic, yet simplistic, and it was a wheel that kind of captured the imagination of the public for a long time. For many years, they were selling the Nikola, and here they've brought back the Nikola. It's no longer called the Nikola though. They've gone with the Begode C8, and so let's take a look at this Nikola 2.0 or the Begode C8.
Oh, look at this. Yeah, these are stickers. And so here's Seth Johnson from E-Ride Life, who we'd like to thank for getting us this wheel. Also to Begode, thank you guys for sending us a C8.
Big shout out, big thanks to those guys.
Certificate of conformity, instruction manuals. So they've added a little bit of instructions to it. And then it goes back to their sales book. This is an 84 volt wheel with a 1500 watt hour battery. This charger has an output of 84 volts, 5 amps, slightly under 21 amp hours. So with this charger, it should take you a little bit over 4 hours to charge from empty to full. Slightly over 68 pounds, and I think I should be able to lift this out, no problem at all. It's fat, holy cow. I did not expect it to be this wide. It's definitely going with the Nikola design.
These are the pads that the wheel comes with. So we'll put these on initially, we'll probably upgrade down the road.
And I don't know if you really want to cover up the speakers either. It's not a ton of padding, just something to grip onto. And I think you can just put it wherever is most comfortable. The nice thing is this does curve down a little bit so you can lock in your toes if you want to.
Let's do a walkthrough from top to bottom to show you all about this wheel, the C8.
So yeah, just starting at the top, you have this trolley handle with quick release. Also this extra handle on top to lift it. There's a kill switch, so let me turn that on before I lift it up. Very interesting. This is the first time I've ever seen a handle design like this in this type of textured plastic material. You have the top display that shows the speed, a front-facing light, which is adjustable, a couple handles in the front and in the rear. So you can lift it up from the sides, lift it up from the top. You also have the charge port in the rear. There's also adjustments right below the center on both sides. Yeah, there's one side to adjust the compression, and then the other side will help you adjust the rebound. They call it coil plus oil center mounted suspension. The way you adjust this wheel is very similar to all the center mounted suspension, where one is adjusting the preload and one is adjusting the compression. The only time we've ever seen a different type of center mounted suspension is with like the NOSFET Aero. You also have 8 speakers down the side. So we're thinking maybe that's why they called it the C8, because there's 8 speakers. And let's see what that sounds like real quick. You can actually feel the bass.
Very crisp, and the bass is deeper and richer than I'm used to.
So yeah, speakers in 2025 have definitely improved on a lot of these EUCs. There's a running LED across the whole sides on both sides, and these are adjustable with 10 different patterns from the app.
And you can see these lights through this semi-translucent, smoky plastic that's actually very durable, much more durable than the previous shell on the old Nikola.
Right behind the lighted LED panels is a 2500 watt hollow motor. There's a 12-inch rim built with a 16-inch tire. And the tire is just slightly over 3 inches, like 3.18 inches, and measures at 80 by 90 by 12. It's a CST tire, but as you can see, it has a really unique tire tread. In the center, it's a little bit more smoothed down, almost like for street riding. It does look like it has some good channels in it, so it should be decent for off-roading. And then on the edges, you have this type of pattern that looks like you should be able to get some decent grip on the edges of the tire. The Begode spiky pedals, and it doesn't look like there's any type of pedal height adjustment on there. The suspension itself as well has 70 millimeters of travel, and there's 2 things that they've added to this wheel that we really appreciate is there's an IP67 water resistance rating, and there's also a smart BMS to help you check on the battery health and also just make sure that nothing is going awry with the batteries. You can adjust the RGB lights inside the panel through the app, or the other way to do it is go through the different light settings.
So you go through the different light settings by pressing on the power button.
And it'll just constantly change it to different types of patterns. Right behind the panel is a 1500 watt hour battery with Samsung 50S battery cells.
I do really like that it has a kickstand. The original Nikola did not have a kickstand.
One thing that's really confusing is Begode sent this tool with it. This is used to adjust the suspension on coil suspension, but when I look at the suspension, I don't know if you can see that. It's coil suspension that isn't really using this type of tool. So I think they just sent this for no reason. If you know of any way that I can adjust the C8 with this tool, please let me know in the comments down below.
This wheel is exciting. It's got a touch of nostalgia, reminds me of the original Nikola, and then some small and big refinements to make hopefully a much better ride than before. So let's get this guy freshly charged, then we're gonna get our safety gear on and take it for a spin. Okay, just kidding. We are not going to ride right now. We're going to switch out these pads because we took it out for a little quick spin and I feel like those tiny little pads aren't going to do it for me. I want something a little bit more substantial when I'm trying to emergency brake. And so one of the things you're gonna have to think about when putting on these pads is the speakers. There's a bunch of speakers on the body of this EUC, and depending on where you put the pads, you're going to probably cover up some of those speakers.
Covering it up a little bit, but not too bad.
I do like that they've put so much nice Velcro all around the body. So it's just perfect. And it looks like it's laser cut. This is on there just right, even with openings for you to access the screw heads or the bolt heads if and when you have to remove the shell.
And then underneath the light and the whole control board, you have this carbon fiber look to plastic fender. So the rear runs to this point underneath the kickstand, and they put a piece of foam on top of it to prevent it from rattling with the kickstand.
All right, let's talk about what we love about the Begode C8.
For me, it's really stable and fun to kind of carve on it because of the wider tire, and I think it would be a really good beginner wheel to learn on simply because a wider tire makes it a little bit more stable.
And a beginner wheel that can grow with you. Andrew actually learned how to ride EUC borrowing my OG Nikola and learning to ride for about 6 months. It's a wheel that I learned a lot of my skills on, and then I progressed with it. I mean, the original Nikola, I even rode all the way to the top of one of the highest mountains here in Colorado, had a great time. And so it's a wheel that you can learn how to ride on, but it will also grow with you.
I love the toolless adjustment for the suspension. I like that I don't have to carry around a screwdriver, rip off some covers, lose some type of cover on there. It's easy access and you don't need any tools. I love the laser cut Velcro. It makes it easy for having to remove the panels without having to rip off the Velcro, and they are sticking very well to the body of the unit.
They took the original Nikola and improved on it in just about every way while keeping the same form factor. I love that it has suspension. I love that it has a higher top speed. I love that it feels more durable. The shell is much more durable. They're using a more strong material. I love the lighting. It's subtle and it's not overly bright and cheesy, but it is nice and subtle and it looks pretty classy and fun.
I always enjoy Begode's pedals. The spikes on them are good and grippy, especially in wet and slippery conditions, and they're just nice and big.
There are a lot of speakers on here and this wheel sounds excellent. And so if you want a party wheel to roll up into your next group ride or to your next family or friend barbecue and you need some tunes, this is the wheel to bring. It's basically a rolling jukebox.
The V12S had the best speakers that we'd ever heard, but that was short-lived after 2 weeks. We do find that the C8 does have the best speakers we've ever seen on EUC. I love the official IP67 water resistance rating on here. This should be able to handle torrential downpours. And then they've also put a smart BMS in their wheels. Begode's starting to put it in all their wheels, something that a lot of people had requested for many years, simply because you can identify if there's a battery cell causing a defect in your battery pack. And even though this is only an 84-volt wheel, I love that they've used high-quality Samsung 50S battery cells. It helps tremendously with the power delivery.
Begode has really come a long ways with their quality control, the fit and finish. Used to be in the olden days, it was kind of like a box of chocolates with Begode, or what did they used to be called?
Gotway.
Gotway, yeah, back when they were Gotway. Concerns about battery fires, quality control issues. I feel like they've really cleaned up their act and it really shows with their products today.
I really like this tire choice. It's nice and wide, a little bit over 3 inches. The treading on it doesn't give you that railroad track feel and feels nice and stable in between carves.
And big shout out to our friends over at eRide Life who provided us this Begode C8. eRide Life, if you're not familiar with them, they sell electric unicycles, but they also help to advocate for the community and push the EUC movement forward. They also do a great job with their customer support. They're really going to take care of you. If you have any issues, any problems, reach out to the folks over at eRide Life and they'll take care of you.
And also they have amped electric games coming up here in October, and so really great stuff that they're doing for the community.
And in general, it's a fun, nimble wheel. It's very agile. It's not perfect though, and we're going to talk about some of the areas where this wheel can improve at our next stop. All right, let's talk about what we don't like about this C8. The way it pinches your shin right here. Because this wheel is so wide, you're having to spread your legs out. So you're more of a A-type stance or an upside down V-type stance. It causes the pressure point on the inner part of your shin to push more against this top part. It's sharp, it's hard, and it hurts, especially when you're trying to navigate tight turns or when you're trying to pinch the wheel a little bit tighter between your legs.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I have pain quite a bit on my inner shin, and just something simple like what we see on the Extreme Bull Griffin, having a little bit extra padding on these contact points would help tremendously. So not the most comfortable for trying to be really aggressive with your riding or any type of situation where you have to really pinch the wheels, like coming down the stair set.
Do some makeshift padding, or maybe they'll sell some sort of pad that you can put here that'll help. I would think some sort of seat, which leads me to the next point. It's smaller, so it's not going to be comfortable for seated riding. I think it's too short. It's such a short wheel. It's not going to feel comfortable.
It's a short wheel, and then there's not like a flat top on it, so
you're just going to slide off the back.
Yeah, when you go to sit down. Okay, I got it. This is so uncomfortable to ride seated, because yeah, you just keep sliding down the back and there's not really a flat position on the top. So
even if you're not a seated rider, a lot of times when I'm just sitting here waiting for someone, I like to just sit on my wheel and wait and just relax, right? Not very comfortable because you've got this thing coming up. The handle goes right into your butt crack. Some people may like that. I'm not one of those people. Another thing with this handle, it's kind of small, especially if you have gloves on. I don't have huge hands, and then just with my light little gloves here, it's a tight fit to get my hand under there. The trolley handle is nice, so it feels solid. So they've stuck with the Scorpion style trolley handle, which has its nice curvature, fits nicely with the body of the wheel. The problem though is to disengage, again, you're gonna have to stick your hand under here, and it's very narrow. If you're wearing full-on gloves at wintertime, this is what, 3/4 of an inch? And so if you have bigger hands while wearing thicker gloves, that's gonna be very difficult to navigate. As I've been using this as my daily ride, I've noticed something about the trolley handle. The handle itself is really nice. It feels solid. I feel like I have good control. I just wish it were a little bit taller. You know, I'm 5'9", 5'10", and to use it appropriately, I can hold it by my fingertips to give me a little bit more length. But if I want to hold it normally, I'm always having to lean over a little bit.
So the app is very finicky. I'm not sure what's causing that, but it's kind of obnoxious because I have to power on and power off the wheel and try to time it correctly to get it to connect and adjust settings. The other problem that I have with this is this front-facing light. It's not that bright. I really hate that design where people put an LED and a piece of like glass or plastic over it. It doesn't make it that much brighter. They really should just use a stronger LED and use a regular lens. Also, the way that globe is designed, the way it throws the spread of the light, it doesn't really create safe riding conditions for nighttime.
I do like that it can pivot, but when you reach the upper limits of normal, you can feel that it's very loose, and then once you screw it down, it'll stay pretty solid. Let's go to the charging port here. The charging port faces upward. It's actually quite easy to access. My only fear with this is a lot of times I'll unplug it and I'll forget to put this cover back on. And if it's facing up, dirt, dust, water can get in there, and that could really cause problems down the road. It'd be nice if it just kind of covered the charging port while it's just resting. In this case, it just kind of flaps around.
Yeah, and one thing we've seen on electric scooters that I'm surprised we haven't seen adopted on electric unicycles is a lot of times those are spring-loaded flaps. So you lift up a spring-loaded flap, put the charge port in, and once you pull the charger out, it'll automatically shut for you, and that would solve all the issues that we have with the charge port location. The other thing I would like is Begode to provide a really good instruction manual rather than a really sales manual that they provide labeled as the user manual. So like adjusting the preload and the compression, I had no idea what one did what. what. I had to do it based off of fill. Because I know how an EUC fills, I was able to figure it out. But the common person, if this is their first EUC, I really think they should have something at least labeled or some good instructions so people know how to adjust the wheel.
We've talked about this weight and how it feels balanced and nimble while you're riding. Once you hit the upper limits of the top speed around 35 plus miles an hour, I was feeling a little bit of speed wobbles, especially if I were going over a little crack or if I was trying to brake hard. It got a little loose on me. And so I would say this is a comfortable wheel at about 35 miles an hour or under. And I think it's because of the small size factor.
So one big issue I have with this is the display is really hard to read in direct sunlight. As soon as you get it in some lighting, it gets washed out, making it super hard to see what speed you're going at.
Another thing that happens is when it is off, it's very difficult to control. Both Andrew and I had difficulty on such a big, heavy wheel. You can just grab it and lift it up and not have any problems because your handle is in the front and you're basically lifting it up. If you were to try to lift it from the back, of course, it's going to want to fall over. And that's just an extreme example of why this handle needs to be a little bit more forward facing in order to make it more controllable. The kickstand, it's very narrow. And because it's narrow, it's not super stable when you're resting it down, especially on uneven ground. And then another wish is I wish they put little bumpers here at least, because I feel like the front would be a great area for you to be able to rest this wheel. I think they could just get rid of this kickstand altogether and put little beefy rubber bumpers here, and then I could just lay it down on that. That would definitely solve the kickstand problem.
So these are the things we don't like. We're gonna keep riding, and as we ride, we're gonna tell you who should buy the Begode C8.
All right, so who should get the C8? I think if you're a Nikola fanboy like I was, you want to relive that experience, only have it an elevated experience with the suspension, the higher top speed, more rugged design, then check out the Begode C8. So happy that they brought back this form factor. Check out our full run review at freshlycharged.com. And remember, when you guys ride, wear your safety gear.